There was no bottle. And I was barely in the business. Bill Watts was a genius. And I'll say that right now. And when he came, he and Jerry Jarrett, long story short, worked out a talent trade agreement because Mid-South Wrestling, one of the great territories, huge territory, many major markets. You know, boy, he ran that thing tighter than Dick's hat band. But business was down because he needed some new talent, because this is a talent-driven business. And by the same token, the business in Memphis was down because Jerry Jarrett was coming off a tremendous summer. Think about this. From Memorial Day to Labor Day, every Monday night in the Mid-South Coliseum had not drawn less than 8,000 people. But now it was October, we're going into winter, now there's 40 guys on the card, 40 mouths to feed, and business is going down because, I mean, you can't keep doing that forever. And it's a, you know, it's a back to school, blah, 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 flea market, open down the road, business is down, right? So Jarrett and Watts made an agreement. Jarrett has too much talent. I'm going to let you have some, but I need some new talent, so I'll take some in return. And Watts said, okay, I need some new talent. So Watts came to Memphis to look at the guys that he wanted. And then Jarrett actually sent Jerry Lawler down to look at the guys that they might want. And the guys that Jerry Jarrett and Jerry Lawler got, as I remember, were ravishing Rick Rude when he was still Rick Rude, R-O-O-D. And that was his first spot where he became Rick Rude and had a valet, etc. Hacksaw Higgins, Masayo Ito, Jim Neidhart. Watts said, well, I like the babyface tag team, the Rock and Roll Express, who people forget. The reason why the Rock and Roll Express were put together was because the Fabulous Ones, Lane and Kurt, were so hot that they had been running 2 towns per night on the spot show nights. You know, it'd be Osceola, Arkansas, and Nashville, or whatever, you know. And the Fabs would make the big towns, and so the Rock and Roll were put together for the smaller towns. So they were kind of floating around. Ricky Moore's always been a fabulous worker, and the best seller in the business. And go ahead, and Robert Gibson, I mean, we've joked about it for ages. He's very underestimated talent, especially in his younger days. He's had back problems, but I mean, what a flyer and what a flipper, and he was quicker than grease lightning. So anyway, they were a great tag team. And Watts said, I like the single babyface, Terry Taylor, who actually had some great matches for Watts for the next couple of years. Had one great match with Ric Flair. The Superdome went like 40 minutes. He said, I need a heel team. So he let Bobby Eaton was a babyface, just working around on the cards. Dennis Condrey was a heel, but he was partners with Norvell Austin because Dennis and Norvell and Randy Rose were the original Midnight Express. And I was Jimmy Hart's understudy because I've been in the business 13 months at that point. And Dundee liked me because Dundee wanted to book different people than Lawler booked, because Hart was Lawler's guy. So when Dundee had the book, I was used, but when Lawler got the book, he's booking Hart more, and I'm over in Osceola making $50. So I'd never been outside the territory except for a summer working for Ole in Georgia. I'll tell this at the banquet, but Ole Anderson was the first person to fire me. But I didn't take it personally because he closed the whole territory down at the same time. The story is in the book. But anyway, so Watts said, I want to put Dennis Condrey and Bobby Eaton, who had spent almost their entire careers in the southern areas, Tennessee, Georgia, etc., had never teamed up once. Wrestled each other many times, never teamed up once. And I want that kid to manage him. Can he talk? Yes, Dennis Condrey. He can talk his ass off. Dennis would have said I could squat down and shit live chickens to get a job. You know, he would have exaggerated, is what I'm trying to say, Crispy. So anyway, Watts called him. I was so low on the totem pole at the time of the business, I never even spoke to Watts when he was in Memphis. I was like, oh shit, he's important. I'm going to stay over here and hide. So Dennis comes to me 3 or 4 days later, and he says, Bill Watts has picked us as his top heel team. We're going to Louisiana to make $100,000. I'm in Shelbyville, Tennessee at a rec center. There's 75 people out there. My check last week was $275. I think Dennis is fucking with me.